Go for it.
All right, being 5:17, we'll start the Economic Development Committee meeting. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag,
States of America. Just stands one.
I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion been made by April, seconded by John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That's Steve or Mark?
That was Steve.
Mayor Marks and I.
Thank you, guys. Motion carried. Need approval of the April 26, 2022 minutes. With the, do I bring up the changes now or?
Yep, just amend the changes for the correct address for Crafty Crack.
Correct. So the minutes had incorrect name and incorrect address for Crafty Crack. Those will be changed.
A motion.
I'll second. Motion been made by April, seconded by John. To approve the minutes with the change of address and name. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Mayor Mark, waiting for you.
Yes. Aye.
Approved. Number 4, report of the Downtown New London Connect Communities Kickoff Visit. Okay, April.
So I can start. The Connect Communities met today at noon. We had a really great turnout. We met down at Cornerstone Insurance. And the purpose of the meeting was to bring stakeholders from the community and walk the downtown area and discuss future developments. And we had John Bartz, who's the Regional Economic Director, Development Director from the WEDC. And he gave us highlights about the Connect Communities program and how we can utilize that in New London. So we met at Cornerstone, we walked down Pearl Street, we stopped by Longevity and we discussed the riverfront property or development. And then we walked down North Water Street, and then Jeff had a really great idea. On the way back, we walked the back alley and we just discussed different ideas, if any, on how we can take advantage of that, of the riverfront. My takeaway was New London has a lot of heart. We had really good attendance. I think 17 people showed up. So we had representation from the city, the county, chamber, obviously, and then different business professionals. And it seemed like everybody had a lot of great ideas and everybody was really eager to do a lot of things and make a lot of change. So I think we're headed in the right direction. I don't know if Chad or Jeff or anyone else that was there today.
I just had a couple of things I wrote down. John was happy with the turnout. Like April said, he felt that that's kind of showing us that we have a lot of interest in what we're doing. Felt that our downtown had a really good start because when he was going through, I mean, it was halfway, 3/4 of the way through before we found our first building that was open for sale. And he's like, this is the first one. And he was really impressed with that. He felt like we had a really good start for where we're starting, where other communities have been starting in the past for their program. So that was a really good thing. But like April said, I mean, we had a lot of good conversation, a lot of good turnout. One of the things I wrote down, I don't want to steal April's thunder, but John gave us some ideas of what we can do. He really promoted, there's an email web service that the WEDC has called Chatter, and we can ask questions from other economic development professionals and get a lot of good information there. So he kind of promoted that.
He was really excited about the mural project.
Yep, murals were really good. And maybe kind of if you want to talk about the Connect Communities compared to the Main Street program, the differences between the two.
So from my understanding, New London was part of a Connect Communities program for a number of years, and it kind of fizzled out. And I believe Forward New London was in charge of it, or the JCs maybe, I'm not sure. But I remember it fizzled out in 2017 or 2018. And when we decided to go back to it, we learned that the Connect Communities is kind of a stepping stone into the Main Street program. And the difference is the Connect Communities program is more based on just like a volunteer base. You learn about resources and you go to workshops and you just learn about different ways to improve or revitalize your downtown. But the Main Street program requires that you hire a full-time person who works with the businesses downtown, builds relationships, and helps with revitalization that way.
And he said there's different ways that communities do that. It's not like it's not definitely a city employee. It's not definitely a chamber employee. It's, there's different communities that do different things. Some of them have a business improvement district, and, they've created this business improvement or bid district, and all those property owners pay a fee to be part of that district. And then that district pays, for the improvements and the marketing and whatever else. So I'm not saying that's where we're going to go with things, but it's an option. At minimum, I think the Connect Communities program is a good resource tool for us to just get information about what other communities do. Whether we take the next step, and really look at the Main Street program, to be determined. But I think this is a good stepping stone for that. You want to talk about the ambassadors idea that they had?
So it was an idea that John had. Was that John, or maybe it was Jeff from the county had come up with.
One of the two. Yep.
So it was a city ambassador program where, I don't know if he had mentioned that they were t-shirts or vests or something, where it's just volunteers that would go downtown and help pick up litter or clean the streets, or just to show that initiative of improving New London.
Yep. And I mean, right now, whether it was a good time or bad time to really do this today, I mean, everybody knows there are weeds in their yards. Everything in the last week, everything just blossomed. Well, you go downtown, you really start seeing the weeds come up through the cracks, and we saw the beer bottles that are broken in the sidewalk, and those are things that people pointed out. Whereas, how do we do that? Do we have city staff go clean this stuff all the time? Do we have, we really get down on the business owners to be cleaning this stuff up, or the property owners to clean this stuff up? Or like April was talking about, is an opportunity for this downtown ambassadors group that we have, like a nonprofit club in the town come in, maybe the first, week of the month, we work with the Rotary Club, and they come up and they really take a sweep through the downtown, cleaning up all the little stuff, all the glass, any of the stuff that's, all the weeds. And maybe the second week is the Lions Club, and maybe we can work with youth baseball. I mean, is this a way that we can, take that extra attention to detail step and really make the downtown look nice? Just ideas that we're talking about to move forward, and maybe promote that we're trying to do something, and promote to business owners and our residents and people that we value a good looking downtown that's clean. So
I know I had sent you an email a week ago about the downtown being quite filthy, and you sent the street sweeper through, but it didn't do anything. You gotta,
sometimes it's not, and
yeah,
the streets are very uneven too.
but I pick up
Cracks.
garbage every day. I go into work. But it takes everybody do their part, so.
Yep.
I don't know if like that ambassador program would kind of just start an initiative where more people would want to, I know the tenants and the bars are issues, but maybe that would,
I was just gonna say Mondays seem to be worse than any other day. And it takes a bit for the businesses to get out and get that cleaned up sometimes. And we've had, it's no secret that there've been issues for some of the businesses downtown. So I kind of like that idea, especially if they're doing it like on a Sunday afternoon.
that's the day that we discussed, is doing it on a Sunday so that our downtown was ready for the week.
I like the idea of the ambassador program, and there's some, I remember, because we used to do this week in history, and in the late 70s, there was actually a group of council members, and they were up on ladders, and they were often featured in the paper scraping on the paint on the front of some buildings, and or they would go around. They had t-shirts, I think, but they would go around and do exactly what the ambassadors would do, is sweeping up stuff. But then, of course, late 70s, early 80s, they would all go into a place after they were done, and they would, kind of like highway cleanup. Everyone, let's meet for burgers or beer or whatever. And then the business owners started like taken note of, hey, these people are, let's say this committee got together on a Sunday, or instead of a meeting night, if we didn't have much on an agenda on some Tuesday night, well, let's walk it. Let's walk it with vest on and let's take some little brooms and
Mhm.
afterwards we'll maybe stop at some place at an establishment or whatever. But that started to get some buy-in on the community. And back then there was big issues about parking. It also got people on the local bodies of committees and stuff to have more dialogue with business owners and stuff. And that disconnect that had kind of formed in the mid-70s when the economy started going down and
Mhm.
that things started to, it was interesting. I mean, from a historical perspective, it's kind of the same idea as ambassadors, highway cleanup and stuff. It's about visibility. It's about, all of us drive by and we see after a snowstorm or whatever, and you see back in the day, it might have been Adolph Pishemeyer out there sweeping his sidewalk. And here's the guy that he could hire that out, but he's the business owner. He's out there sweeping a sidewalk. Other business owners see that and it just kind of catches on, just having somebody, oh, there's something going on when you drive through downtown.
Mhm.
It catches on.
The ambassador program is an awesome idea. I just don't know how many people are willing to do that. I know that gal has been watering the flowers every day.
Mhm.
Is it so much to ask for her to have a bag in the back of her four-wheeler there and just pick up, the larger items? Because like I said, the street sweeper works, but the bigger items like the garbage has to be picked up by hand. So as far as having a city employee do it, I don't see why there couldn't be.
I think that's a great focus to make sure that when that person is going through the downtown, that they take advantage of that. That's a great idea too.
Isn't there something with the Boy Scouts or something where they can earn badges or something for programs picking up stuff like this? I don't know.
I've partnered with the school district before where the academy classes come out and help before Fall Fest.
A lot of high school students need to get community service hours as well.
Mhm.
Put that out to the high school for community service hours.
Yeah, and maybe it's during the summer we can hit a little bit harder because we have that person in the downtown watering, but obviously that's just during the summer season. I mean, once you get into October, November, then maybe this ambassadors group, we have to do something extra to get people during that time of year. I don't know. But it was just good conversation, good ideas. Jeff, was there anything that you picked up other than what we just talked about that?
I guess today when we were at that meeting, one of the things I was trying to focus on the positive, but yeah, I think it was John or one of the members, one of the other members said something about London is not a forward-thinking community. I was kind of insulted by that. I don't remember who said that. We all heard it, right? Why are we looked at?
It wasn't John.
No, I don't remember who it was, but I've heard that other times and not quite sure where it came from, but I don't know what we're doing wrong that they don't think we're looking forward for things.
We had a discussion after the meeting and she felt that kind of came out wrong.
But-
Yeah.
Okay.
Come here.
And then the other thing that came up today, we talked at the meeting with John, and that is business owners or building owners downtown aren't doing the simple maintenance on their buildings. They're collecting the rent and pocketing all the rent and not doing some simple maintenance on it. It's not necessarily the businesses, but it's the property owners. And my focus was the old city hall down there, which is kind of the cornerstone of our community historically and I mean, what it once was, not too many years ago, John. I mean, who's the family that owned the building at that time? They had the furniture store in there. Didn't they totally restore that building, the clock and everything?
Well, Clyde Hansen, yeah.
And since it's been sold, someone out of town owns it. They're not a member of our community. It's like, I'm gonna collect the rent and see what happens. That's really kind of a focal point of our downtown, I think, or it should be. Maybe it is now in a bad way just because it's not being maintained, but I think our downtown, I think the fronts of the stores in that are as good as any in Wapaka County. I mean, I think Wyega is nice and clean looking. I like the way their downtown looks. I think when you guys get your streets and that done, I think that's gonna be, I think will look really good from the front. And we did have the utility commission. What's his?
Oh, Jay
Jason.
Bissett.
Yeah,
The utility manager.
Why it'd be so hard to move the power lines in the alley back there. That'd be one of the things to be done. I harped on it for a long time, but I just can't see how we can do anything more back there than what it is. We just
Mhm.
have to focus on the water, on the street front, I guess.
Mhm.
It's great. I thought it was a great tour today.
Mhm.
Time well spent.
Yeah, we're stopping traffic, the large group of people downtown, everybody was stopping, looking at us.
So I think April's going to follow up with the Chamber's Downtown Revitalization Committee and then continue discussions and ideas and we'll obviously bring any of the street ideas back to our 2024 reconstruction committee that we have. So 2 different committees. We can obviously use a lot of this information for ideas for the 2024 downtown project as well.
All right, moving on to discussion of plans to market and sell the public property across from the London Library / museum.
So shortly after the announcement of the First State Bank building, Jeannie Schleiss and Ann Hunt approached us basically and expressed interest to try to look at selling the property across from the library museum. Some of the initial thoughts were to, sell it real cheap, get something built up there to with a taxable value. They made the point, which is a very good point, that the library museum board would like to try to recoup as much of the cost on the lots because there were donors that paid for the lots and then took down the building. So there was donation money for that. And they want to try to collect as much of that donated money as possible and recoup that and push that into the new building that's going to be at the First State Bank site. So those donors feel like their donation isn't just going to some random lot and to help some business develop. They want to feel like their donation and their money is going to the First State Bank building. So, but the city is a good stakeholder in the project because it's in the TID district. So we have a little bit of a carrot because we can throw some TID money, incentive money at it to put something that we feel is really beneficial for the downtown district. So what we came up with is that I create an RFP, request for proposals, and throw it out to business owners and throw it out to developers to say, okay, number one, we want you to put a proposal together. We want to, number one, know how much you're willing to purchase the properties for, what you're asking as an incentive from the city, and then what's your proposal? I mean, are you looking at a used car lot? Are you looking at a big eatery? Are you looking at a multi-brew or a microbrew facility? I mean, what are you looking at so that, we can take that back and go, okay, we can see what the cost is of what they're willing to spend on it. Plus at the same time, what's that development going to be, and then have the opportunity for the city to have the opportunity to decide if that's what they want to see there and throw some TID money at it as an incentive. So I have a draft of that out. The initial group was myself, Chairman Dorsey and the mayor. And then it was Jeannie Schleiss and Ann Hunt. And I sent that out to them for initial comments on my draft. And then at that point in time, we'll come back and put some timeline dates. I don't have the dates in there yet, but we'll put some timeline dates. And then ultimately there'd be a small group, and we looked at in the ordinance, our Chairman Dorsey can create a subcommittee to look at this. And then that subcommittee can make a recommendation to the Economic Development Committee. After looking at the proposals, this little subcommittee can come up to this Economic Development Committee and say, okay, this is the development that we feel like is the best option for here. Economic Development Committee, would you, kind of make a recommendation to say that you support this development and to go to council with the recommendation for an incentive in the TID district. So that's kind of where we're leaning towards right now. Instead of the library museum board going one direction and feeling they just want to sell the property and the city being another stakeholder and not being on the same wavelength, I felt this was the best way to kind of bring it together and have everybody work together on an option. So
I don't know if I asked this in that subcommittee meeting or not, but I was thinking about this. For those of us that weren't here when all that took place, how much money has the city put towards them 4 properties and raising them buildings.
City owned one, correct? And we donated that.
I'll have to get a little bit better history on that. I want to say, and don't quote me on this being perfect. I want to say that the corner building, I'm really leery to say anything because I don't know if I'm correct, but I want to say that
Well,
the
you don't
corner
have to
building
say
was
anything now.
purchased.
Look it up. So, because I mean, even when we get these RPFs, I
Yep.
want to know.
Yep.
How much the city has actually put into this too. I know there's donors and I understand that, but there's also taxpayer money that went towards that also.
Correct.
Ron Steinhorst and
That's
Ron Steinhorst and Milt Stasko,
Mhm.
I would say probably between the two of them was probably 70,000. It was one had 35 and one had about 40 that they put in to those buildings.
How much did the city?
And I
That's what I
don't,
want to know the city number and then we can go to the donation number because
yeah,
it makes a
and I don't
difference.
remember anything on what the city's
'Cause we
portion was.
spent-
I want to say that Ron, when he bought the one corner lot, he put that in the name of the city instead of the library museum board.
Right.
So that one was in the name of the city. And I
Mhm.
think the city financed the demo on that one.
Yep.
And then the library museum board financed the demo on the other one.
Yep.
Again, I'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
they
think
held,
that's what happened.
they held some book sales and they did some fundraising out of the building before it got raised. But yeah, Ron did put one lot into the cities and then
Yep.
Milt bought the other one outright. And so the city they were having some work raised at that time at the old Simmons property. And so they got a pretty good deal on raising that building compared to what it would have cost today, but the city was in for some of that raising cost.
So
I don't think there's too much for utilities issue there in that lots neither, as far as sewer and stuff like that.
as in,
Underground, if it gets developed.
well, they're gonna have to connect into the.
Yeah,
you know, Reconnect new into the city.
I don't think there was any
System.
big issues with that property.
Nope, I mean, I'm not aware of any environmentals or
Yeah.
anything issues like in that capacity.
Now that you said that, John, the city did work on that because there was some asbestos in,
Yes.
I can't remember what it was, something with, I don't remember if it was flooring or what it was, but that did jog my memory. There was some added cost while they were working in town.
There was asbestos and lead that we had to abate first before
That
the
was,
demo.
I don't
Yes,
remember the
that.
details, but I remember that.
And that was taken care of properly.
Yep.
But when we were still early in the stages of looking at development options, that's a very sought after and valuable piece of land as whether it's housing or commercial development. So it's like, I know we had several consultants through the years, even Stadmuller. And Mr. Hutchison said that adding that to the caveat of the TID was very beneficial for the city because it's a very turnkey type property, ready to go. So an RFP is probably a great way to go about that.
At least get the ideas and go from there and give equal opportunity for people to give us ideas as well.
Right.
So just more of an update for the Economic Development Committee more than anything of what the idea is for the future of that property right now.
Okay, moving on to report on social media marketing efforts.
All right, so I believe I reported in the past that we started a monthly marketing group, marketing meeting between myself, Josh Disti, our video producer, Ginger's on that. And then we've included April representing the chamber and then Scott Black representing the school district. And the point of that is to try to come together with some consistent marketing efforts for all of us, the city, the school, and the chamber together. So we've been meeting once a month, just trying to talk about where we're going to go with marketing efforts and kind of coming up with a collaborated effort. For example, we've started like we talked about, we started to have an address branding theme or branding marketing campaign. We've offered Josh to make similar themes for the school district and the chamber if they want, to try to have a similar theme in the chambers, the cities, and the the school district's social media and even the website if they want. So I know April's going to take advantage of that in the near future. And I haven't heard back from Scott yet, but if we can kind of continue that branding of has an address or have an address, that's just going to be a positive thing for us all. I know we've kind of talked about, I think Bill Bishop, and I got to look into this to see when the next round for the billboard is ready and due. This might be a great campaign. Maybe Johnny's daughter was going to be up on the billboard outside of town, maybe? No? Okay.
There's many more pictures since.
So, but I think that'd be a great campaign or potential campaign for the billboard outside. And then Josh and I have been talking about internally how to, we've been digging into the, I guess, the reporting information and things about Facebook and trying to get a better understanding of what these numbers mean. So Josh has given me, and what Josh is going to do, we determined last week that it'd be really good if he can either find a class or find some online training to take advantage of, because Facebook has so much information behind it, and just digging into it, it's like, what does it mean? What does it do? How can we, use this stuff in our, to our benefit? So he's going to be digging into more to see if there's any training that he can take advantage of. But just for the has an address or have an address campaign, there's been several videos that we've put out there with that branding campaign. Let me see if I can find them quick. We did a winter one. So there was a winter one in the beginning. That one had over 4,000 reaches. So that's, I guess, how many people would, initially at least see the video once. So, we had 4,000 there. Tradition has an address. So that was part of the New Dublin to try to post or promote the New Dublin activities. That had 3,500 for the most part. The Fish Tales. So that was to kind of promote the walleye run. Let's see, Fish Tales, that had about 1,500. And then the sturgeon spawning, that one really had a lot of different views. He did two for the sturgeon spawning. He did one ahead of the spawn to try to just get it in people's minds where to go if once that happens. But then once it did occur, then he did a quick one saying, hey, it's on, you want to come to London. So the original one had 15,000 views. And then the short one that he did had over 8,000 views. So, I mean, these two videos alone, you could see that they were quite a bit more popular. And then in some of those, we did, we threw $20 at it to try to get advertising. We figured out, what a good range would be for a distance to advertise for, and we threw some money at that one. So those are probably why those numbers are a little bit higher. And then we've recently, he's done a kayaking video to try to promote kayaking. So, and one of the things that we've been talking about and helping them understand in our marketing planning is just to put together a year-long schedule of what usually happens. So we've got Irish Fest, we've got Walleye Run, we've got kayaking that would be good, we've got so and so and so. So he has an idea what's coming forward and what he has to prep on for the upcoming season to what to advertise for. There's a lot of demographic information in here. For example, one interesting thing we've come up with is that with these numbers, we can really see that the first 3 to 5 seconds is probably the most important to put some impression on somebody. So for example, he's been doing a really good job. If you see where my cursor is down at the bottom, it says this is the beginning of the video. And as I kind of move it along, the video changes up in the upper right. Should change. It's supposed to change. But one of the most important things he's kind of figured out that, or we've talked about, is what impression can he put on somebody in the first 5 seconds? So if I can get this to work. So like in this scenario, he's got the New London logo in there. And in the first 5 seconds, he put the impression on. You can see it blipping in there. Let me just do this.
Hi, I'm April from New London. Come kayak with us.
So the first 5 seconds, he's got kayak New London. I mean, so in his mind, whenever he's putting videos out, what can he impress on the people in the first 3 to 5 seconds? So I'm trying to figure that out with marketing and what he's doing with the videos, but I don't know, April, if there's anything else that I'm missing that we've talked about at our marketing type things.
That's a good overview.
We also talked about how can he get our branding now that he hasn't been doing this yet. We're trying to figure out how we do this because he's been putting the branding of these videos way at the end. So he'll put it at the end, you know, memories have an address or whatever has an address. But if someone doesn't watch that to the very last second, they're not getting that. So how can we put that at the front end as well to push that branding? So just kind of things that we're trying to kick around and think about and do. And
Can you watermark it somehow?
yeah, something. He's gonna start playing around with it a little bit and see what he can get out of it.
Judging by the drop off, we need a lot more shorter videos. More videos, shorter.
We figured 15 seconds is the key. And they've even said in here, I mean, look right here. Facebook has demographic data. 15-second must be the threshold
That's about
of,
how long I looked at it.
Yep. So the paid ones, like for that, like the sturgeon stawning one. That was 19 seconds. But like I said, if you don't watch the whole thing, you're not going to see the branding till the end. You know, how many people are watching it for the full 19 seconds. So we got to kind of figure out how do we get this maybe at the beginning, watermark something. But I think for the paid advertisements, 15 seconds is going to be his key to get in front of somebody's face.
Well, that one was a lot of short, like that. And I'm not a marketing guy by any means, but that had a lot of short pictures. That'll keep them a little bit longer than somebody just sitting there talking.
Maybe you insert that as one of the blips, you know, like
Yep.
subliminal,
Well,
you know,
I
nature
just
has
think
an address, you know, something has an address, something just kind of,
I wouldn't use 15 as the absolute cutoff if it's something like that, because that'll actually keeps with the different pictures and stuff, that keeps you focused.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody talking, it is, I can see why they're scanning off after 15 seconds.
But surprisingly, this kayak one, which is 1:29, there's been a lot of views for this one already too. So
The different points of view and the soundtrack also have a subliminal effect.
Yep.
Like the soundtrack on that sturgeon one was.
yeah, he did a nice job with that.
appropriate, you know, for that.
It's a lot of different pictures, so it keeps you focused.
Mhm.
No offense, Mr. Fisher, I am not a Fisher person, but I really did enjoy that video.
Mhm.
I wanted to see more. And I take or leave fishing. Leave it usually.
Mhm. And he's actually going to do two for like this kayak one. He's got this one done, but he's going to do a 15-second one for the kayak one. And that's the one we'll throw money at and advertise, you know, get it out there for the Appletons, the Green Bays, the Milwaukee's, the Madison. I mean, we'll throw that one some money at. We're not going to throw money at the long one because, you know, if they want to get more information, we can link them to the longer one and then they can get a little bit more information. But at least for the throwing money at it, we'll keep those as the shorter ones. But it's interesting. They got a ton of information showing exactly when, you know, for example, come on. You know, how quickly people fall off on it and exactly that, you know, in 9 seconds, we got 42%. And then at 18 seconds, you're at 23. And it seems like right in here, you know, you had a lot of people fall off, but then at this point, then a lot of people were hanging on to the end to watch the whole thing. Come on. So, and we can see that in this case, you know, demographics between men and women. Women must like kayaking more than men in this particular video. And they in the different age groups. Obviously, the 35 and older found it more popular than the younger ones. And this might be a little bit more the younger ones. One thing we want to look at too is we really got to hit that TikTok platform because the younger ones are not on Facebook
Mhm.
and we're not on TikTok yet. So we're not marketing to that younger age group yet. So we need to hit that hard. That's one thing they talked about at that conference we went to. You know, if you want to hit the younger generation, you got to get in the platform that they're on, and we're not on TikTok yet. So, and one of the challenges is that the platform for TikTok is different. So Facebook, we can do a video, you know, in a widescreen type format. I believe TikTok, everything is the other way. So to take this video and just throw it on TikTok, it doesn't work. You got to reformat it to the long way of your phone. So more work to figure out. But you know, any questions? I mean, it's all we're learning. We're trying to figure things out.
We need a TikTok video of Bernie riding a BMX bike off the city dock. Just kidding.
I think it'd be better if the mayor did it. I have TikTok, I can record you. Have
One of those
TikTok?
chopper bicycles.
So that's all I got. Just kind of information of where we're kind of we're trying to collaborate with the chamber and with the school district to make some coordinated marketing efforts, I guess.
Thank Josh for what he's working on and
Mhm.
the progress that's being made. So
Yep. He's got some creativity behind him by far. So, and it's not all videos too. He's just putting these, I mean, this is a picture slideshow type thing, really quick, you know, 13-second talking about the walleye run. So, but as he gets more, what he calls B-roll, more video, you know, behind the scenes that he can, you know, create video, create content. He's going to build up his B-roll library to create more videos. So.
Moving on to updates and reports, business updates, April.
All right, I just have a couple updates. Recaro LLC, she's currently located at 304 West North Water Street. She's a consignment store that just opened up. And she came to me and said, I need a new place. I want to relocate. I don't have air conditioning. So I connected her with the owner of 311 Pearl Street, which was where Cozy and Sweet was located. So she'll be going over there. So we'll have a vacancy at 304 West North Water Street. I just found out on the 26th that the former Dollar General at 105 Henry Street sold to Napa. So we have Napa coming to town. I'm going to say this wrong. La Cocinita, the Mexican grocery store. They're leasing to the 200 West North Water Street building. They've expanded their grocery store and they're incorporating a meat block. And then they'll be transitioning their current location into more of a restaurant. They also applied for the Main Street Bounce Back Grant, which I don't know if I reported to this committee that Main Street Bounce Back Grant has been extended through the rest of the year. It was supposed to close at the end of June. So that's a really great opportunity to see if we can get the rest of these vacancies filled up. So again, that's a $10,000 grant for newer existing businesses that want to take over a vacant building. And then Bluebird Boutique was located at 218 West North Water Street, has closed. So that building is up for lease. It's an absolutely beautiful building. Hopefully we can get someone in there soon. And then I want to invite everyone on the committee to our next business after hours, which is June 15th at Crystal Falls at 5 p.m. Great chance to get to know your businesses in town. And then did you have Bazaar After Dark under that? Yes. Yep. So Bazaar After Dark is scheduled for this Friday, which is June 3rd. The event runs from from 5 to 10. It is an event that's put on by the Fox Cities Chamber. They're estimating attendance to be around 6,000 people coming into town. We have about 30 vendors right now that are confirmed, and then all kinds of fun entertainment. There's gonna be fire breathers, aerial acrobatics, reptile bus, chainsaw artist, bands, 2 beer gardens, and there's 16 food trucks. So stop on down on Friday. Setup's gonna start at 1 o'clock. And they're gonna string lights all the way down North Water Street. So it should be a good night. Mhm.
Hey, thank you, April. Moving on to city administrator report.
Just continue on one thing that April talked about, the Main Street bounce back grant. When John from the Economic Development Committee was here, we mentioned how many businesses in New London has taken advantage of that bounce back grant, $10,000 bounce back grant. He was floored
Mhm.
with how many people in our city have taken advantage of that. So kudos to April for really pushing and promoting.
That's, I think
That,
that, yeah, that's on both sides, but he said I should get a hold of the governor and the governor should come here.
Ah.
So I was like, that'd be great. More PR for.
Time will tell.
London.
So my report, update on interviews for economic development student committee representatives. After the school district asked for interested students, 4 students did express interest. Getting them with our schedules and their schedules with school activities and everything else, Dave's activities, because he's so involved with baseball and stuff. So, no, we were able to get 1 interview in, and we got 3 interviews tonight. So hopefully by the end of this week, the mayor will have 2 representatives to appoint at the next city council meeting. So to be determined, hopefully at the next meeting, we should have our student reps. Update on developers agreement. In your memo, I provided some updates on the developers agreements that we have been working on recently. As you all should know, May 17th, the city council meeting, the council approved the developers agreement with Titan Conveyors for their $2 million expansion. The agreement has been signed on the city's end, and it is in their hands right now for signatures. So we're excited to see that project develop. We're waiting on a groundbreaking event to be scheduled. I don't think you've heard anything yet. No groundbreaking. They had one scheduled and they had to push it back a little bit on some timing issues. So once I find out when that groundbreaking event is scheduled, I'll let everyone know. As most of you know, we're working on extending TID number 5, that's the downtown TID, to assist in the development of First State Bank's new building. Our attorney is just starting that process, and we'll be negotiating with First State Bank on the terms of that agreement. That one will be really simple, as it's just going to be what's called a pay as you go. So once they build their new building will be paying the taxes, and the increment that's collected, more than likely, we will negotiate an agreement to pay them back as we get the money. So it's a pretty simple one right there, but that's to be determined yet. On the other hand, the SC Swiderski developers agreement is much more complicated one, and there's a draft done by our attorney. It is in SC Swiderski's hands right now, waiting their comments. That one's much more complicated in the fact that it's anticipated that the city would have to upfront a bunch of money in that utility relocation. So we would have to upfront money, and then they are going to have to build, and then that increment that's collected over the years from their new developments would pay off our expenses. We just want to make sure that the developers agreement is created in a way to protect the city. Not that's going to happen, but for example, we do all this utility relocate and they walk away. Well, we don't want that to happen, because then we don't have the increment to come pay us back. So that one's much more complicated and just needs to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed moving forward. But it's in their hands. I'm waiting for a comment to move forward. I hope everything works out at this point, that the developers agreement is signed soon, that we can look at, we got the plans done for the utility relocate, that we can bid it out. So we're just waiting for everything to be signed. We could put that project out to bid and potentially, hopefully, do the construction for the utility relocate this fall. More than likely at this point, that if that's all done, then they would start their process in spring of next year. So that's kind of where we're at right now with them. And the last thing I have in my report, I did include an article. The Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation recently highlighted an article that the Main Street America did on sign regulations. So that's something we've been talking about at our 2024 Downtown Reconstruction Committee, is just to talk about signage and, how can we promote or help businesses, with signage. And there was a really cool article. I don't know, April, if you had a chance to read through it yet, but
No.
just, how signage can be a great thing or an eyesore, depending on how it's zoned and figured out. So, I mean, if you can see this picture right here, it's something that you don't want this to happen in your downtown by far. to clutter it up. So kind of a neat article that I wanted to pass on. And that's all I got.
All right, review potential agenda items for future meetings.
I don't have anything as of now. We talked about something you brought an idea for something in the future. April. Sorry to put you on the
I have to
spot.
Go back and look. I honestly don't remember. I just,
I can't remember what that was. I guess if the committee has any ideas of things that you would want to see.
oh, the Young
I can-
Professionals Group,
What's that?
the Young Professionals Group, or was that something?
That might have been it.
So we had a business owner who approached me, who was part of the Young Professionals Group through the Fox Cities, and asked if New London had anything similar to that. She said she'd be interested in helping orchestrate that or be a part of it. Create some sort of mentor group that would help anyone who's interested in starting a business.
So it would be more business focused as opposed to civic.
Correct.
And I guess potentially, I think it'll be another month yet, just with the timing for that RFP for the downtown or the lot across from the library museum. I doubt we're gonna have, we want to advertise long enough to get developers time to give us proposals and then review them. I doubt that's gonna be done in a month, so that'll probably be 2 months out at the earliest, or something like that.
Are you getting a realtor involved in it?
Not at this time yet. We might have to, but I mean, I think we were just gonna ask for proposals and see what we wanted.
Right, and if we get proposals and stuff that's interested, our attorney, city attorney, can take care of it.
Sale of property.
Would it be beneficial to have the, I forget his name, the video person?
Oh, Josh?
Yeah. Have him come in and, kind of share some of his thoughts, and because I thought that was pretty informative of what we've seen here, and it might be, 10 minutes or 15 minutes of time well spent.
It's kind of thinking on the same lines, Bill. I mean, maybe keep flowing that one back in every month a little bit, just even with Chad reporting on Josh's behalf.
Yeah.
But we also need to maybe get a quote on a wrap for that billboard as a budgetary item for this committee to consider while we're still in the 2022 budget. But meanwhile, maybe Josh in April, or last time we seemed to kick it around a lot. I mean, years ago, because we all had different ideas for what to put on it.
Oh, the
But maybe
image.
it comes from April, the tourism committee, and Chad and Josh, the marketing people, or that marketing subcommittee, but we at least maybe need to look at what does it cost to rewrap it, because I drive by it every Monday and Tuesday going to Clintonville to work, and it's gonna start tearing. It was gonna take one windstorm in July.
It's lasted surprisingly.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we had it
2018.
what was that?
2018 is when we wrapped it.
Yeah, and we had it rebuilt, wasn't there?
We had to have it-
Replacement boards, and it was like
Structurally,
a full.
that was a very
Structure
expensive
So I think-
project.
I think
We
this
were-
time is only the wrap needed, because there was
Right.
a fair amount put into it.
And tourism paid for one half and then. the
That's
city
right, that's right.
paid for the
Yeah,
other.
we should start bouncing that around,
Mhm.
because it
Think
was split.
Tourism Commission would be interested in that?
It was
again?
on the agenda last time that I just let the commission know, and they agreed that we would look at updating it.
'Cause if you let that wrap pull off, and then it's just gonna deteriorate the base again, and that was our biggest expense, and we saved it from becoming a scrap, but
Well, and if it rips, it's not something that's gonna get fixed in a week, so might as well be proactive and replace it before that happens.
get some estimates
And if
on
it-
just a wrap.
And if it was 2018, I haven't driven by it, but it probably might be some trimming and some, maybe some groundwork that need to be done, or do you have any trees or shrubs or anything to keep it?
That's all marsh.
I think that's
Is
part of their
I don't know, but I think it's pretty marshy.
It's wetland, yeah, that's kind of wetland out there.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much for grubbing, but that's something. You know what? I think we had to go in there and do a little grubbing for the sign company to get in there.
I thought we had to
If I'm
go
not
through
mistaken.
someone else's property and that was a big, we kind of had to get,
Crystal Falls.
yeah, we had to start that process. So we should probably start that sooner than later. We talked about lighting as well.
Yeah.
And at
Even-
the time it was very costly to put lighting, but maybe there's some new technology, whether it's solar lights, whether it's, I don't know, but there's probably better technology than what there was in 4 years ago. Maybe not.
Well, I mean, those are potential future items. I know last time it sat on, came up about 7 months in a row just to get things going, so. And then there's the question of if you're on the phone with them to get a kind of a quote on a new wrap, you know, you might want to ask them how large, what's the photo size gotta be, so Josh knows what kind of photo to provide them. You can't take a 475 kilobyte photo and make it into a big billboard, but those are all questions to know down the road in the hopper.
You know if they designed it or the city designed it?
Actually, Ally Garrigan did. Ally Garrigan designed and she did a wonderful job and it was really, I think she did it pro bono.
Mhm.
And
I just sent her the photos and what we wanted on it and she
Right.
whipped it up within minutes.
then it's just a matter of the sign company that gets it put onto the wrap, whether it's the right size, you know, pixels and everything for.
I think it's going to become more important as the Highway 15 project comes through. I think we're going to see some increased traffic and that's just a nice little, you know, my goodness, we drive by this, what is that about? And I think people still like a visual. It's what we just talked about, that 10 seconds. You're driving 60 miles an hour. You've got, I think John had some info last time you had, I don't remember what it was. You know, we had to keep the words down to a certain amount of, there was like 4 words or less or 5 words or less, and you only had X amount of seconds. It kind of got into a science of it.
Mhm.
That was a while ago.
If you don't mind, I'm just gonna rewind a little bit back. As long as Jeff's here, the question was about getting a realtor involved. Have you ever had an experience where you've had this municipality have an RFP put out there and then a realtor promotes it? Have you heard about that before at all, Jeff? Okay, because I've seen communities put out RFPs before for projects and things. I didn't create this one and I stole the wheel online with a bunch of other ones, so, but I didn't know if you've heard of that a realtor pushes an RFP at all there.
We got license, we gotta be careful what we do, what our company tells us what we can and can't do, so.
Yeah.
It's something that I would have to look into a little bit more.
Cool.
All right, public comment?
We already talked about it, is that walk that we did today, that I just thought it was a good idea. One thing I did forget is when we got to the park by El Tequila there, you did mention when you've got a park on the waterfront like that, take advantage of
Mhm.
what you have here. Anytime you got a little event or something, try and get people downtown to those green spaces.
Mhm.
Is it Jacob?
Yep, Jeff Park in St. John's. He said, if you're not doing something in these parks, you better start.
I think we do a fairly decent job. I think when you walk, I kind of thought when you walk down, thought about it today, or when I thought about it, maybe I thought about it the wrong way, it's like, then we're gonna take a look at everything and all the crap that has to be fixed. It's really not that bad. There's some touch-ups, things and stuff like that, other than a couple of buildings that we talked about. But it's not that bad. Most of them are full, and we walked into, some of us walked, Chad, you walked into the new meat market down there.
Yeah, New Mexican grocery store. It's the first time I had an opportunity to go in there. Check it out. It's kind of cool. They did a nice job in there.
It's pretty,
really
pretty
nice.
nice down there. Some different options there, but then they're gonna go back. April, did you say they're gonna do something out of the other building now too? or-
Yeah, my understanding is they're transitioning that into more of a restaurant. So they gotta get a new hood for their kitchen area. The oven hood.
I think that property up there across from the library too is going to be really advantageous to somebody because of the building next door that he fixed all up. You know, the auto, or was it Freiberger? No, not Freiberger.
First one.
Larky. I think that's a big plus having a building like that next to you.
Jeff did a good job with that.
Mhm.
And it's a vacant property. I mean, a developer doesn't have to worry about demoing a building.
Yeah.
It's clean slate for the most part, ready to go.
And it's fairly good size too, I think, which.
Very good size.
Big lot.
More
Yeah, there was
attractive.
actually two places in a parking lot in there.
I would suspect you'll get a lot of interest when you put out an RFP, but let's say that there wasn't.
Mhm.
Is it possible to, we're already working with a number of developers in the city as part of incentives and whatnot, but is it possible to include that as a incentive piece on other things that we're working on, say in lieu of some of that utility relocate upfront cost?
But I think we
Time or something.
send them, that RFP can go to everyone. I mean, we can
Right.
send it to them. What's their proposal, Whether they feel like they got enough irons in the fire or not right now to be determined,
Open up to.
and
Yeah.
to be honest, we could turn around and do this again. Because the parcel that SC Swiderski is looking at on the riverfront is west of Smith Street. We have the property to the east of Smith Street plus two of the vacant grass lots in between Longevity and John's Bar that could be looked at too. So, I mean, if this RFP is successful, we could turn around sometime and do an RFP for that, for infill
Right.
development too.
For the murals, did we put some money towards the murals to help with the murals that are being put up? No? Should
It's all
we,
been,
should we?
For that one building, I think we did, because it was owned by the city at the time, and we paid for some prep to the.
Oh,
Large
longevity.
with the hair. Yep,
Yeah.
longevity's building.
I was just wondering if we should consider that at some point, putting a little budget, because I think some of these are gonna have to start to be. They've been doing it for a few years now, and at some point, there's not only gonna be putting new ones, but it's gonna be refurbishing the old ones. And I don't know if we have funds available, but
we've been doing pretty good job with
they?
fundraising and things, and
They gotta maintain them, don't they, for X amount of years?
I know our agreement with some of the ones they put on city facilities that we would basically not touch them for 5 years, that they would stay there for at least 5 years. So what they do with them after that, to be determined, but
I just think they look amazing,
Mhm.
and we should really.
what was Lori Schneider saying today from the Wolf River?
She said she wanted to be careful how she worded it, but they have extra paint left over from some of the murals and they'd be willing to help out businesses if they needed it, but they didn't want to get burnt out. Like they went and they repainted the doors at Crystal Falls, just helping them out. They're trying to connect with the owner at the theater to see if they could do something with those busted out. The area where the signage usually goes for the new movies. And she said that she wants to tread carefully, that she doesn't want to burn the group out, but they're willing to help businesses out if they need it.
And I don't know if their plan is to, in 10 years, make sure they touch up every single one of those murals again. I don't know if they're committed to that or not. Whether they paint over it and do a new mural, or if the property owner is just responsible for painting it. I don't think there's anything set in stone that they're going to be responsible for maintaining that in perpetuity.
Okay.
Since they initially started too, they've also been learning a lot
Mhm.
and between different paints and protective coatings, and it's been a learning process for them too. And this most recent one, or one of the more recent ones, the Veterans Memorial, Lori gave a nice talk on Memorial Day about that and its longevity and some of the things they learned in the process of doing it. And they're from the first ones they did to what they're doing now, they've learned, since the initial startup phase, when they maybe did get I think a little boost from this committee, and we prepped a wall for them and maybe rented a lift or something the very first
I think
time.
that's right. I think we did some with lifts or.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job and learned a lot. They're learning more every year.
But I think that's one in particular that if an effort was needed to refurbish it, save it. The one at the Vets Memorial, obviously, that would be one to focus on just because of what it is. So,
Right, review the next meeting date.
see. June 28th would be the next one. And I want to check one thing on my end. I think I personally have a conflict that week. I will be out of town that week. So I don't know how you guys want to handle that. If you want to skip June, you want to go a week ahead, have the meeting without me, I'm cool with that.
Can't go a week ahead. That's council meeting.
Correct.
Oh, there's a couple more longer term things that maybe could sit in the slow cooker another week or a couple weeks, maybe just skip the June meeting.
And
mean-
get the RFPs on the next agenda.
Yeah, you'd have the RFPs on there, you'd have some price quotes from the sign people. Josh would have probably some new summer slated stuff and videos produced and photos. I don't know,
Say we
it's just a
just-
thought.
Just skip it unless something comes up that we have to meet.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of stuff that's gonna take time to get together before.
So the next meeting would be July 26th.
I need a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Hans, seconded by John. All those in favor?
Okay.
We are adjourned.
Thanks, Steve. See you later.